Now to the death, though, of former Fox News CEO Roger Ailes. Bill O'Reilly speaking out overnight about Ailes' legacy as questions are raised about what will happen to the women who are suing him for sexual harassment. Rebecca Jarvis has details on that story. Good morning, Rebecca.
Robin, good morning to you. And you're right, several pending lawsuits and a federal investigation into whether Fox News' parent company violated any securities laws. But with the passing of Roger Ailes, the question now, how do they move forward?
There are very few human beings on this planet who are visionaries. Roger was one of them.
Overnight, Bill O'Reilly speaking out about the passing of Roger Ailes.
He was a tough guy, settled scores, and that made him a big target. Didn't take any guff from the left or the right. He alienated a lot of people. He was very tough, and a lot of people hated him, and that hatred ultimately brought him down.
O'Reilly telling listeners on his No Spin News podcast he thinks the Fox News founder never really recovered after he was forced to resign last July following allegations of sexual harassment.
You know, his departure from Fox News broke his heart. There were accusations, and he denied them, and ultimately he walked away, and he was never the same.
Ailes steadily denied the allegations, but this morning, with remaining lawsuits against him and his former network still at large, his unexpected death calls into question what happens next in those pending cases.
Roger Ailes' death will probably cause these lawsuits to be settled out of court. He was never deposed in either lawsuit, so he's never given his version of events under oath. So they have no way of directly refuting the allegations of the plaintiffs.
We remember our founder, Roger Ailes.
But as those cases go on, his former colleagues remembering him.
Roger's legacy is going to live on through Fox News Channel. There's no doubt about it.
Roger Ailes is survived by his wife Elizabeth and son Zachary, and those who have brought allegations against their former boss and company are declining to comment for now. Robin, they say they're keeping that family in their thoughts and prayers.
I'm sure they are, Rebecca. Thank you. Joining us now is our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams. So we heard in Rebecca's piece, do these cases have to be settled?
They don't have to be settled. They might, but they certainly don't have to be. And there's an argument on each side as to who it could help. On the one hand, you could argue that it helps the plaintiffs in these lawsuits because Roger Ailes isn't there to respond and said you're only going to hear one side of the story. On the other hand, there is an argument to be made that Ailes' estate could make to say you shouldn't be allowed to testify to private conversations if he's not alive anymore. There's an arcane New York state law which typically doesn't apply in cases like this, which they may try to get to apply to prevent people from testifying about private conversations. So I think the bottom line is there's going to have to be a bunch of legal rulings happening before there's any decision made about settlement.
There are some pending cases where he's not even listed as a defendant.
Well, that's right, and there's a huge difference between the cases where they're suing Roger Ailes versus investigating or suing Fox News. Any case that involves just suing Fox or investigating Fox is going to continue. As is. He would have just been a witness. And those cases are going to continue. The tougher question is the ones where he was the defendant.
And when he is the defendant, if he should lose those cases, his estate?
That's right. That's right. So typically, in a case where someone dies, let's say it was a car accident case and someone sues, the estate of the person who died then takes on the responsibility. The plaintiff is then suing the estate of that person. So that's going to be the case here. Anyone suing Roger Ailes, in effect now, is suing his estate. And, you know, he moved to Florida recently, probably in part because Florida has very good laws when it comes to your home not being subject to any lawsuits. So there's a lot of maneuvering, I think, that was going on even by Roger Ailes before his death, and the legal maneuvering is going to continue.
It will. All right, Dan, thank you.